Good evening, welcome back to another video. Stephen here talking Manchester City versus Newcastle United tomorrow in the Premier League. And I can't wait for this game. It's going to be a really interesting game of football. Hello, of course, to everyone watching this video. Big love to every single one of you. Please do hit the like button. Please do hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. If you want more Manchester City content, it is always appreciated. This should be fun. It should be an interesting game because I think this could be a really tricky tie if we're being honest. And Newcastle side smarting after defeat, of course, in the Carabao Cup last week. So we've got to be potentially aware that this could be tricky. It could be tricky. They could be tempted to try and basically sort of, make a point again. It could be that kind of game, so I'm very apprehensive about this. I would like to quickly say, please do check out the latest football prizes competition. Do you want to win a signed Erling Haaland, a signed custom-frame Manchester City shirt? Of course you do. Of course you do. There's other prizes as well involved in the draw. If you want to enter, click the link in the description below. Head over to football prizes right now, and you can get a framed Erling Haaland signed shirt. I'd love it on the wall right there behind me. It'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? It would be wonderful, but I'm not going to win it. Maybe you guys can win it. So enter over at Football Prizes right now, and you could win a signed Erling Haaland shirt. What are you waiting for? So this game is going to be interesting. I've got a really bad throat still, by the way. So I've got peppermint tea here. So if I have some of that, please just be patient with me. I've been ill for like a week. Something's lingering around. But either way, the show must go on. The show must go on. So Newcastle... we know this is going to be a really interesting game because we know Newcastle, unfortunately for them, they unfortunately lost last week. They lost twice recently. They lost to Liverpool and they lost to United. Last week, United were much the better team, if I'm being totally honest. They was sort of even until United just turned up and went ruthless. But they lost the Carabao Cup relatively comfortably in the end for United. And Liverpool before that, once again, Liverpool were probably the better team in this game as well. Newcastle weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but they were down to 10 men, of course, after Nick Pope got himself sent off. But it was already 2-0 at this point. So they sort of only had the self to blame with Nunez and Gakpo, of course, getting the goals that day. But Newcastle, they aren't in their best form. They aren't in their best form. It feels a little bit like things have slowed down a little bit for Newcastle. You see their league form. They drew against Bournemouth. They drew against West Ham. They drew against Palace. They did beat Fulham. They beat Leicester. Drew against Newcastle, Arsenal. But in general, and Leeds, lots of draws recently. You look at you can see why they've got 11 draws. They're currently sat in 5th in the table. They've slipped out of the top 4. They have got 2 games in hand on Spurs. But the current trajectory, as you can see with their form, it doesn't feel particularly good for Newcastle. I would not be confident if I was a Newcastle fan of reaching the top 4. Would I be confident getting something against City? Probably. Would I be confident against getting the top 4? Probably not. City are the exact kind of side that they want to play right now. Trust me. We're so fucking up and down, City. As much as I have been encouraged by some of the things I've seen, City are so up and down that it's really quite nerve-wracking going into this game because Newcastle always causes problems. And I can imagine them wanting to make a bit of a statement after the United game, after the Liverpool game, and this could be a good opportunity for them to actually do something here. So they want to get that result. They want to get 3 points on the board and once again close down the top 4. I don't think they're going to do it. I think Spurs have got a little bit too much experience, and Spurs are finding a bit of quality at the moment with Harry Kane, of course, and whatever. So this is going to be really interesting. But currently, it doesn't look good for Newcastle. It doesn't, because their form just isn't particularly impressive. This is how they lined up against United. This is currently how they're looking. Callum Wilson, St. Maximin, Almiron. Almiron, of course, is having a season of his life after Jack Grealish prodded him and got him going. Midfield of Guimaraes, Joelinton, and Longstaff. Then Dan Burn, Botman, Shaw, Trippier, and Karius. Of course, in goal is usually Nick Pope, so it'll be him. You see roughly a pattern there of how they play. I look at the Liverpool lineup, see how it compares. Anderson was in midfield that day alongside Longstaff, Joelinton, Trippier, Botman, Burns, Shaw. You know what it's going to be. Almiron, Alexander Isaac, of course, instead of Wilson, but Maximin once again out wide. It's pretty much what you'd expect every single week with Newcastle. They are a relatively predictable team. Here we go once again. The same defence. Obviously, Willock's played every now and then as well. It could be Willock, but once again, the same forward line and the same striker, if not Isaac. So they've got a sort of settled team, and we know what to expect. A physical, aggressive, organised midfield, and you've got to give you've got to give Eddie Howe some credit for that. Like, I did not think Newcastle could punch this high so quickly. I do think they are in danger of dropping down the table a little bit because I think the quality of their squad will start to show a tiny bit. And that's not to disrespect Newcastle because they still might get something against City tomorrow. But overall, I don't think they've got the squad size and the depth and the quality to maintain a top 4 challenge. A cracking start to the season, but I feel like they'll end up dropping a little bit. I mean, I could be wrong here, but you look at the Premier League table. Well, I would be surprised if Liverpool catch him. Liverpool will catch him, I reckon. Maybe 6th, 7th, something like that, I reckon they'll do. I don't think Chelsea will. But I think Liverpool will be looking at Newcastle going, yeah, we can tip them. Then Liverpool will aggressively hunt down Spurs as well, because Liverpool are finding a little bit of form at the moment. I can see him finishing 6th or something like that, maybe. Which wouldn't be a terrible season by any stretch. And maybe a bit of Europa League football would be good for them. And they can try and maybe get some signings in the summer to bridge that gap. Because Newcastle, like Almiron, has been a Champions League player this year, but he hasn't been at any point in his career, you know? People like Longstaff are not Champions League players. Bruno Guimaraes is. Joe Linton was a flop until this season, which is impressive. But largely, they haven't really got the quality consistently to, I would say, trouble the top 4 right now. That's not criticism. I think they're punching above the weight, and that's impressive. I think it's been down to good coaching. And Pete Shepherd, by the way, just mentioned Firmino, because someone mentioned Firmino in the chat. Firmino is the exact kind of player that Newcastle could probably do with getting for a year or two. That kind of player, you know. Someone like that would be good for them, but they need a few more signings, potentially. That's not to say that they aren't a good side, though. They are a good side. We know how City are getting on in general. We'll look at our form, of course. 3-0 the other day against Bristol, which was a good, fun game, of course. We saw loads of changes. Foden, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Alves, Mahrez, Lewis, Phillips, Ake, Diaz, Akanji the other day. It was a fun game of football. Of course, before that, it was a 4-1 victory away at Bournemouth, which was, once again, an awful lot of fun. Alvarez started that day alongside Haaland, Gundogan, Foden, Grealish off the strikers, with Rodri sat alongside Rico Lewis of Ake, Diaz and Akanji making up the back three. So we're sort of seeing this system kind of be settled. I'm expecting some changes though, and I think some changes are sort of necessary, which we'll get onto in a bit. Looking at the press conference, Guardiola talked a little bit about Eddie Howe. He said he's incredible. He said it happened last season, and this season they're taking a step forward. What I've seen lately, what they've done all season, it's one of the toughest opponents that we have. The threats, the transitions, the set pieces, they're the best team in the Premier League at that stuff. Do you know what? He's probably right. On a transition with St. Maximin and then the physicality of like Botman and Joe Linton and Callum Wilson and so on, they're an absolute fucking nightmare. And that's the only way I can put it really. So we've got to be really realistic here. They're going to be a tough cookie to crack, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that. You know, it's going to be a battle. And I suspect we'll be up for it, you know. He also talked about Ortega, Stones, and Laporte. He said they've all trained and feel much better. I'm hoping it means they return. Stones would be absolutely huge. I'd love him to be back. I think I've jumped a little bit. Jumped the gun a little bit here with the title of this video, Stones and Laporte returning. I think they are training, but yeah, they've all trained, so I think they are available, but Guardiola didn't actually say that technically, so I apologise. I might be wrong with that one. But I think they are better. You talked about Vincent Kompany and Burnley, of course. If you follow me on Twitter, you know my thoughts about the Burnley draw. I fucking love it, man. I absolutely love Vincent Kompany, to the point I made the channel named after him, a pun around Vincent Kompany's name. In Esteemed Company, of course, he's a pun around Vincent Kompany. So I love the man immensely. I think Vincent Kompany is... Well, he's El Capitan, isn't he? He's the man, the legend, the leader, the captain. Without him, none of that we would have achieved would have been possible. I really believe he was the heart and the fucking fight of this team that made City so special. So Vincent Kompany, the fact that he's doing wonderful things, and seriously, he is, like, he's doing incredible things over at Burnley, like to the point where they're going to go up. They're going to win the league in the Championship by playing great football, and they're scoring in every single game. They're playing fucking phenomenal football. He's changed the very DNA of Burnley. So he could come back to Manchester City one day, and Guardiola thinks so. He said it's written in the stars and it's going to happen that he comes back one day. He said, I'm impressed with the consistency of Vincent Kompany. The Championship is difficult, unbelievable. They're close to the Premier League promotion. I'm delighted for him personally. Yep. It is. I can't wait to see him. One day I want him as Manchester City manager. I know people are worried about it potentially tainting his legacy. It doesn't taint his legacy. There is no harm in failing if he does. It's just... It's just another part of his story, you know. In fact, if anything, it'd be brave for him to do that. He still would be a City legend, and he still would deserve that statue, and he would be the kind of man to walk away with grace if anything went wrong. But imagine how much it'd feel if it's a company being announced. To me, if he does well at Burnley in the Premier League and continues to improve, yeah, absolutely. One day he could be the successor to Guardiola, absolutely. So that's sort of it from the press conference quotes, which does bring you sort of to the lineups, really. Let's try and put the lineup together, right? Everyone, I want to know, Ederson is going to be in goal. Right back has to be Kyle Walker. Are we all in agreement that has to be Kyle Walker? Surely it does, because when you look at the recent performances against Newcastle, with St. Maximin and Almeida on the pace that they've got, there's nothing against Rico Lewis, but we have to play our fucking powerful, pacey fullback. And Kyle Walker, he can't be here. He can't be here. He just has to be. Do not put him here. Because when he's here, it means Maximin's got a chance to run and run and run before Walker gets near him. Walker needs to be tight on him so he doesn't get a chance to run. If he gets a chance to run, we are fucked. We fucked it. So do not let him run. Do not let him run. Be tight on him. We know Rodri is almost certainly going to come back in. So Rodri will go there. I think it'll be Ake again. I think he's going to play a traditional back four. Ake is going to play. I think this is going to be Ruben Diaz, and I think this will be John Stones. I think Stones will come back into the team. I think something like this. Does everyone agree with the back four, the back five, back six there with Ederson? I think Ake is going to play because Almiron, with transitions and all that kind of stuff. I actually think he's going to play a flat back four in this one, Mad Hatter. He did in the second half against Arsenal, by the way. He brought on a Kanji. He took off... who did he take off? Was it Bernardo? Maybe he doesn't play Stones. Maybe this is a Kanji. It'll be Stones or a Kanji. It'll be Stones or a Kanji, so it'll be one of those two. I almost certainly think, who's it going to be? Midfield. The problem is, of course, it means you've got one less midfielder. Haaland's going to play. Haaland is going to play. That's guaranteed. Does Foden play or does Grealish play? I think they both play, It's not a shame on Mahrez, but I think they both play. I think Grealish over here. And I think Foden over here. I think Foden plays this game. Which is harsh on Mahrez. He's done nothing wrong, but I've got a feeling he will do. I think he will do, personally. Look at the wife in the chat. Should I pre-order fish and chips? No, it's all right, Nicola. I'll drive down and get it in a bit, so no worries at all. I think it'll be Foden. It just leaves these two midfielders here. I think Gundogan's going to play. So I'm going to say it'll be Gundo and KDB. Does Bernardo sit this one out? The only thing is, it's hard to say because I can't see Bernardo sitting out a game because I think it'll be KDB. But I think we're going to have to be... this is a flat back four, so it's going to be a very different system. We could see, which would be mental, we could see Bernardo. Ruben's just smiling watching me. Everyone say hello to Ruben, by the way, in the chat. You're beautiful, Ruben. He is. The son's watching the video. We're having fish and chips for dinner tonight, by the way. I can't fucking wait, man. Fish and chips for dinner. Absolutely wonderful. But yeah, I think it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. Because Guardiola could play Bernardo here with Ake as he could do it because he might want Bernardo there alongside it because he's scared of the transition. It could be if Laporte's available, he could play Laporte at the left centre back. It could play Ake anyway. It could be he could do this, which is mental, but he could still do it. He could still do this. This could be Ake. This could be Diaz. It could be this, which would be a bit crazy, but he could play Walker there, that side, just so he gets the pace. And it could be sort of like this. I think it might be something like this. Either way, I don't think we should invert if we've got St. Maximin. I think Guardiola's going to learn, surely, because it just didn't work last time, man. It didn't work last time. It could be something like that. It's going to be very, 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 very difficult either way. And I can't predict how it's going to go. All I know is that this game is... Did you actually giggle? The wife, sorry. I won't get distracted. All I know is that... Tomorrow is going to be an early start. It's going to be a tough physical game. And to be honest, I'm expecting City to be good. Newcastle will try and have a reaction, but Newcastle are good on the counter, which will be a bit of a threat to us. And I expect Guardiola will be aware of that. I think we've made some mistakes recently defensively where I think we need to be a little bit more pragmatic. And I actually think Ake's played well as a left back. So play a back four in this game. I don't mind personally the inverted thing. I honestly don't mind it. I think it's fine. But I think in this instance with this game, just go solid immediately. And if we need to open it up later on, do that. But I would say go aggressive with the front. Go aggressive with the front. Have Grealish, Foden, Haaland press. You could even have Alvarez if you wanted to. You know, you could even have something like this. I'll go back over now. 1 second. If you wanted to, you could still have Alvarez there, so he's behind instead of KDB. That won't happen, by the way, but we could have it more like this. Whereas those front four press like absolute bastards, and it could be more like that, you know? Ake gets up a little bit, walk up there. It could be more sort of like this, which is solid, you know? I think it will be KDB, though. But if you wanted a really aggressive forward line, you play for Alvarez there, don't you? We'll see. We will see. I'm expecting City to be good. I know no Alvarez, but I just feel like in this game, Guardiola's going to go for experience because he really respects Newcastle. He really does, and I think he'll go for experience, and I understand that. I really do. Guys, I'm going to go for 2-1, I reckon. I can't see us not conceding. Callum Wilson's going to score, isn't he? Or Almiron's going to fucking score because Jack Grealish awakened that beast and he's had a great season. Even though he's been a little bit off it recently, I think largely we can't deny the fact that he's going to score, can we? What's everyone's predictions? Yeah, exactly. I agree, Curry. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Alvarez, by the way. Newcastle are a lot more physical. I think Guardiola will go for a bit more control. And Alvarez is great, but I do think in general, Guardiola will go for experience. It's really difficult to say, isn't it? It's really difficult to say. I am going for 2-1 Man City, I reckon. I think Foden and Haaland are going to score the goals again. 2-0 says Pete Shepherd. Charlotte Dobbs says 2-0 City. Oh, I like the confidence in the 2-0 here, by the way, everyone. Any more predictions? But 2-0, we'll take it. We'll take the 2-0, you know? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I'm hoping it'll be 2-0. AJ Ware says 3-0 City. Everyone seems pretty confident. I like it. My man Scott says 3-0 City. Defense mad about no clean sheets lately. Do you know what? Maybe you're fucking right, Scott. Maybe we need it, Scott. We need that clean sheet. Jacob says 1-0, 4-1. It says JM 11-11. Well, Roger says I'd like a 4-0. God, you're all confident. To be honest, I think these people got a right to be confident. Zen is saying 1-1 draw. Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1 Man City. Foden and Haaland. I think Callum Wilson's going to score for them. But guys, they are just my thoughts. I'm going to save my voice before I start to leave it. By the way, you may have noticed on Twitter. You may have noticed something that I've been teasing. Asan was saying that, man. Watch this space. We're working on something. It's going to be big. Fingers crossed you'll all know about it relatively soon. Fingers crossed you will do. I can't wait to tell you guys what we'll be cooking up. I can't wait. Bit of a preview there. Pete said maybe tweet Kevin again for 25-yard rocket. Okay, maybe I will do. Kev, do a wonder goal tomorrow, Kev. It'll be massively appreciated. Haaland scores a brace. I need Haaland to score a brace tomorrow, you know. Potentially, Charlie. It probably will be that. We will see. We will see. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Please do hit the like button, subscribe. I will be doing a watch along tomorrow if my throat holds up because I can't talk for more than 20 minutes currently. Right? Absolutely. Feels like I'm chewing on glass. It's horrible. It's really sore. Really, I'm on peppermint tea big time. Right, love you all loads. I'll catch you very soon. Like, subscribe, the usual. In a bit. Come on, you Blues.